If your engineering team pushes back on every roadmap priority and leadership questions your resource asks, you're probably making the same mistake I made early in my product career. Here's how I learned to fix it during a make or break moment when I was working at Sonos. Hi there, I'm Joni Hoadley, and I've been leading product teams for over 20 years. Today, I want to share a story from my time at Sonos that completely changed how I approach roadmap planning. And it might save your next quarterly planning cycle from turning into a resource negotiation nightmare. So this story comes from the 2007-2008 era, right in the middle of a major financial crisis. Sonos was hanging on by its fingernails. We had massive layoffs. There were dismal sales forecasts. It was the kind of pressure where every decision could make or break the company. Sound familiar? You probably have a dozen feature requests from sales right now, support tickets from customers, technical debt that's slowing down development, and executive pressure to do more with less. Meanwhile, your engineering manager is telling you there aren't enough resources, and every roadmap discussion turns into a painful trade-off negotiation. That's exactly where I was at Sonos, except the stakes were existential. So here's what I learned. When you can tie your roadmap to commercial success, everything changes. At Sonos, we had very ambitious international expansion plans, but I identified two critical gaps that were killing our growth. The first gap was that music services were geographically locked. Pandora and Rhapsody were great in the US, but European customers had completely different music services. We could localize our software into French, German, all the languages all day long, but if customers couldn't access their music services, they wouldn't buy our speakers. The second gap is that we had zero Android presence. Now remember, this was back in 2007, 2008. Android was massive globally, and it was continuing to grow, and we were missing a huge chunk of that market. So I made a decision that felt very risky at that time. I advocated for our entire year's roadmap to focus on two things. First was Spotify integration. This would unlock multiple European markets in one shot. The second was Android app development. This would capture the growing non-iPhone market, especially outside the US. Now, these were massive undertakings for our small team. Normally, it would have triggered weeks of "we don't have enough resources" discussions. But here's the difference. I didn't present these as nice-to-have features or user experience improvements. I presented them as the direct path to international revenue growth that the company needed to survive. Suddenly, instead of pushback, I got almost instant buy-in. Engineering, design, marketing, everyone rallied behind these two priorities because the connection to business survival was crystal clear. So ultimately, we shipped both initiatives. International expansion accelerated, revenue grew, Sonos hit a growth trajectory that carried it forward for years. But here's the real lesson. This wasn't just about picking the right features. It was about creating organizational clarity that eliminated decision paralysis. In doing this work, two principles emerged that really changed everything about how I do roadmap planning. The first principle is commercial connection creates buy-in. When leadership and your team can see the direct line from your roadmap to revenue, resource discussions become investment discussions. You're not fighting for budget, you're presenting a business case. The second principle is that focus creates velocity. When everyone knows the two things that matter most, all of those other feature requests and quick wins become easy to say no to. Clarity really liberates your team to work faster because there's no confusion about priorities. So here's my question for you. What's one initiative on your roadmap that you could tie more directly to commercial impact? And more importantly, are there initiatives on your roadmap that aren't directly tied to commercial impact that you should be dropping? Let me know in the comments below if these two principles of commercial connection and focus creating velocity resonate with you, and hit subscribe for more real-world product leadership strategies. If you're dealing with roadmap chaos right now, I would love for you to get in touch with me so that I can help you unlock revenue growth for your company.